Hey guys, my name is Andrew.
And I'm Kate.
And this is our fur boy, Brady.
And our daughter, Scout.
Yeah.
She's 2.
He's almost 8. We just wanted to come on and start a YouTube series, kind of just sharing our daily life. We have a podcast called The Daily Well. We like to share healthy tips and habits. We're both chiropractors by trade, so both have our doctorate. And we love doing life together with our family. We love doing life together with our children. And as we've grown in our faith, we realized that God has really called us to a lot of cool, new, unique, and maybe not so much new, but just getting back to the basics.
Absolutely.
When it comes to health. And so we just moved to the other side of the state of Michigan to be near family and to take on a ministry role. So we moved into full-time ministry, but we've since built a house and are kind of in a suburb neighborhood area, and have found a penchant and desire to want to live off the land a little bit. So
I call it urban homesteading.
Yeah, so we have a lot of awesome, maybe not tips, but just things that we've gone through, we've learned. We want to share our journey in our lives with you.
But really specifically, we kind of wanted to kick off just with the season of life that we're in, which is pretty heavily pregnant.
Yep.
We are in our 3rd trimester with our 2nd baby. And so we figured that we would just take you around with us, and we do natural home birth. Baby girl here was a home birth, and we are planning a 2nd home birth with this baby. We didn't find out gender, so we'll be surprised here very soon.
Yep.
But I wanted to just make a video realizing how much we do every day to facilitate having that natural labor. And as I was making the list of things that I intentionally do every day, I kind of realized that it's more exhaustive than I realized. But the goal with this video is not to be overwhelming or for it to feel intimidating. But I do believe that if you don't have a plan to succeed, you're planning to fail, as the old adage says. So we really just wanted to share with you what we do proactively to facilitate a natural, healthy pregnancy, labor, and delivery process. Even if you're not planning a home birth, but you want to have a natural vaginal labor, or even if none of that's your goal, you just want to have a healthy pregnancy, I think you can really take a lot of value from some of these really scientifically backed things that we've been intentionally doing every day. And I should also add that I'm not perfect every day. This is kind of my goal checklist, and some things are crazy routine that happen every morning. Some I just don't get to, and some I only do a couple times a week.
And our disclaimer for anything that we say is we believe that God didn't create every person to be the same. We believe that you are unique and you have your own journey, and there's no cookie cutter one-size-fits-all approach to health. In our studies and our years of clinical experience, we've seen a lot of stuff, and so the tips that we give and the things that we talk about are unique. And again, take them with a grain of salt. Make sure you're being smart. Nothing that we say is going to be an absolute for every single situation.
Okay, definitely contact your healthcare provider, your midwife, your OBGYN, whoever you're seeing. Definitely run by any changes you want to make with them. And we might also want to add that these videos are very candid. Our daughter will be running in and out, and our dog will be running in and out.
Yeah, we just kind of want to do...
I kind of like those videos, though.
We want to do
life.
Life as it is in the Seppo household, for sure.
Well, since we're sitting here with it, I can start off. Tip number 1 is red raspberry leaf and nettle tea. I know it's controversial to drink this in the 1st trimester, so if you're in your 1st trimester, most definitely talk to your healthcare provider. I did personally drink this throughout the 1st trimester because there is so much nutrition in the red raspberry leaf and the nettle tea. It's almost like a daily multivitamin, and it's really high in iron, which I have historically been low in. But you get the organic, raw, loose leaf tea, pour hot water on it, steep it overnight, and I drink now a mug full every single day.
Whoa.
You want to increase your volume of it as you get later in pregnancy.
And fun fact, husbands, if you want to be a part of that as well, it's not too bad. It tastes pretty good.
Do you like it?
I don't mind it, yeah.
Fun fact, extra fun fact, I drank this a lot when I was pregnant with Scout, and Scout loves it. The second thing I've really been focused on is getting in enough electrolytes, and that goes for both of us.
Yeah.
It's important in any season of life, but especially when you're pregnant.
Well, they're important because electrolytes and minerals are essential to any part of the body's chemistry. Any cell in your body that has a membrane that requires sodium, potassium, calcium, different minerals like that to pump things over and back and through different membranes. So if you're interested in learning about that, there's a whole lot of fun information online, but it's an essential part of what's going on, and that balance that has to be there is so crucial. It can lead to a lot of health issues.
It can, and specifically in pregnancy too, a lot of women will talk about the bloating and the puffiness that happens late in the third trimester. And I think a lot of that can stem from a mineral or electrolyte imbalance, because if you throw off, right, if you eat too much sodium, you can get really puffy. But equally so, if you drink too much water and not enough sodium, you can also get kind of puffy. And so it's been really helpful for me to balance my electrolytes and just know that I'm really hydrated on a cellular level and getting in the really important minerals, because we did experience a miscarriage.
Yeah, so after Scott, we had another pregnancy that we miscarried pretty soon, and so it was a gut-wrenching experience for us, and it's a very sensitive topic. But we truly believe that little one's with Jesus right now, and
the Lord is in control.
What better place for that child to be? And so we wanted to learn from that. And so in our research, Kate found that oftentimes a magnesium deficiency is linked to a lot of birth complications, specifically miscarriage. And so we just really decided to choose to find a way to make that a priority in our diet. And so we found this great company called Element, which is simply like a salt water additive. It's kind of like a Crystal Light. It has a little package you can pour it in.
It tastes really good too.
Tastes really good. First time I ever had it, we were actually working out in the summer, and I was super dehydrated and super thirsty, and just was feeling a little off. And I didn't want to work out. And Kate says, "Hey, why don't you just drink some of this?" And so I did. And after a few minutes of chugging some of this, man, I tell you what, I felt like a new man. It was incredible. So I've been hooked ever since.
And so that particular brand that you add to your water is a really great balance and blend of the right ratios of sodium, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. But a few other things that I also do are I take a homeopathic cell salt. I was on basically the same thing when I accidentally conceived with Scout. We weren't trying, but in hindsight, I think that was really helping my body achieve homeostasis. And so it's something that I have since jumped back on. And Scout also really likes to take it with me in the morning too. It's just a little dissolvable tablet. And then I also do a magnesium spray on our bodies. Through your skin is one of the quickest ways that you can absorb magnesium. And lastly, I also do an Epsom salt bath, which I feel like that's more of a girly thing than a guy thing, but...
I know, I swear by my love, if I feel sore after a workout or a lift, you'll find me soaking more often than not, so...
And there's some really incredible studies, and I don't remember the exact statistics, but even soaking for 10 minutes in an Epsom salt bath really increased your levels of magnesium. And I think it's so important to consider, even if you are not trying to get pregnant, how low you actually might be in magnesium, because stress in and of itself depletes you of magnesium specifically, and other nutrients, but a lot of studies link it too.
And you'll hear us talk a lot about stress. Stress puts your body into a fight or flight response, and that depletes you of a lot of essential minerals to increase the blood flow to your large muscles to fight or flee and run away or freeze up.
And the soil is not as nutrient dense as it once was, and sugar depletes it. So there's just a lot of things that kind of are working against you that it really benefits you to take an extra focus on that, and especially this season of life. The next thing that I try to be really intentional about is walking every day. And this is something you've joined in on as well.
I have. Well,
pregnancy has changed you.
Well, it has. So your body was made to move, and moving your body often on a regular basis is so beneficial, because if you don't move it, you lose it. Those phrases are so essential. Motion is lotion for your joints. When your joints move, they produce something called synovial fluid, which helps lubricate the joints. Fluid pumping in and out of certain things like your discs or other areas in your body that require movement to flush waste material out. So movement on a regular, continuous basis is so incredible for your body. The goal we have is between like 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. So that way you're not just getting activity at one specific point, but throughout the rest of the day.
But specifically in pregnancy, you really want your belly to not be compressed and sitting in a chair, because that's very likely to put baby in what's called a posterior position, or a sunny side up position, meaning baby's spine matches your spine. It's really tough for them to come out of the birth canal, and you tend to experience a much longer labor and more painful labor because it's back labor. And so the more that you can kind of get your hips moving, especially as baby is getting bigger, it will help baby just snuggle down into your pelvic floor area, and the head's down, back to your belly.
That's where I want to snuggle, right in your pelvic floor area.
The next thing that I also focus on, in addition to steps, is getting in some form of strength training a couple of times a week. And I think I've always done strength training, but I'm just intentional about it now because labor is very endurance focused.
It is. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right?
Literally, they say it's the equivalent of hiking 50 miles.
Hey, well, there you go. I don't know about you, but I haven't hiked 50 miles on a regular basis.
I've never hiked 50 miles.
Yeah. But this is something that we've done at our house during the pandemic. We prioritized building a home gym. So we have a beautiful gym in our garage. We don't really park our cars in our garage.
It is our gym.
It is our gym. But we try to make it a focus. The goal for us is 3 to 4 times a week. We try to get out there and do at least a half an hour of some type of resistance training. And now here's the thing. Strength training and resistance training don't have to be these huge, massive movements. You can have a 10-pound dumbbell set, or a kettlebell, or even some light weights or resistance bands. Yep. And so any station that you're at, whether you're a seasoned exerciser and you've done a lot of Olympic lifts, or maybe you haven't done that and you've done more functional, or you're just a weekend warrior and haven't really worked out since high school, there's ways you can start right where you're at to get in those strength training 3 to 4 times a week.
I also think it's really important, and even not when pregnant, but also especially when pregnant, to strength train certain muscle groups, like the glutes. I think that helps alleviate a lot of low back pain.
Typically, people have really weak glutes. We kind of talk about just postural distortions, and typically you see really people who sit down quite a bit and have an anterior contracted, or we call it like a lower cross syndrome, where your hip flexors and core are really engaged in this position. Your lower back and your glutes kind of are under engaged or not quite balanced. So yes, I would say glutes and core are going to be the areas that you could really focus on the most, that 95% of Americans could focus on.
But specifically in pregnancy, you have to be careful with core.
And what kind of core movements are you doing?
I do a lot of dead bug movements. I don't know if this one has a name, but you lay on your back and you contract and you try to roll your pelvis up towards your belly button, just kind of knitting those abs together. I do a lot of really modified planks where my hands are up quite high, or a lot of quadruped style movements, because it is important to maintain a strong core, but you also don't want to train it the wrong way and have that separation of your abs. Next, I think it goes without saying that if we're going to work out and strength train, we also need to stretch.
Yes, we do.
This comes pretty naturally to me. You've worked on it a little bit more.
So some background about Kate. Kate was a collegiate gymnast, so she can blink and go into an oversplit. I, however, have to work my way up into being able to touch my toes. That's kind of how we are on a regular basis. I played sports that prioritized strength and not flexibility as much. The older I've gotten, actually, the more flexible I've gotten. Yeah. So
you've done a good job.
It's new. We're big fans. If you're going to strength train or going to do any type of exercise or activity, to do a dynamic warm up, a big movement, global movements first, to then do your activity, and then at the end do some recovery or static stretch. Then that kind of helps your body come back to normal. It's a process. If you've followed Tom Brady's career at all, it's a process called plyometrics. It's training the muscles to come back to a normal state after they've been used. It helps you recover faster, and it gets your body in a better state to gain muscle, to recover, and to be able to get ready for your next workout. Yes.
I'm able to kind of just work through any knots that I find in the myofascia And if you maybe are not as prone to being naturally flexible, you really want to focus on your anterior leg muscles, your psoas, your hip flexors, because when those get really tight, it kind of rounds your pelvis forward, and again, it puts baby more in that posterior sunny side up position. And you really want baby's back up against your belly just for the fastest, easiest, least painful labor. And having gone through it with baby in the perfect position, I can most definitely say I never want to go through it any other way. I was happy with that. The next couple, I don't know that you're gonna get to weigh in on these few right here.
That's okay.
But I've really been focused on doing pelvic rocks at the end of every workout. I do at least 30, and that number just came about because that's what my first midwife had recommended, was to do 30 slow pelvic rocks every day.
You think I don't do pelvic rocks?
I don't. So I follow every workout with those pelvic rocks. I do 30 slow, and then I do Kegels. I have a pregnancy guide that has different variations of Kegels, whether they're sustained or flicks or just like different patterns of helping those pelvic floor muscles maintain their tonicity so that you don't, pee when you sneeze. And then lastly, I do diaphragmatic breathing. And I don't know that you do that right now, but that is something that would be good for everybody in every season.
I do it when I sing, so.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah.
Also, fun fact, you have a very artsy side, not just athletic. But diaphragmatic breathing, I should have added that into my core training because that is a great way to train your core when pregnant.
The last thing that she likes to do for positioning baby well and helping promote a good posture during pregnancy is one of my favorite things because I like to use this as well.
As a footrest.
I use it sometimes, but I think it's a nice yoga ball, and using that as opposed to a chair or even a bed. Because when you use a chair and you sit back into it, you tend to slouch. A ball requires you to engage your core
and sit up taller.
And sit up tall, which is nice. And it helps position the pelvis in an open position so that way baby can come out nice and easy. And it helps make labor and delivery and even the last try really, really, really simple.
It is. It actually feels really good on my low back to sit on it. Anyway, those are some of the tips that we are really intentional about while pregnant, although many of them do carry over from our daily life.
Yeah, and again, our whole focus is not just for one specific time, but this is what we're doing specifically during her pregnancy, our pregnancy. I can say I'm pregnant with you. My body changes as well, but being mindful that again, health is a journey, and not everything is going to be initiated all at once. But we're excited to kind of do what we can, little by little, and hopefully this encourages you. And if you have any questions, please comment, like what we're doing, subscribe, share this video if you found any interest in it. If you have any questions, please reach out. We'd love to answer.